I love your t-shirt.
I know. The best is yeah, and it's a good color on you too, Karen.
Thanks. Now we're just gonna slide. Oh, now tape.
So good. Okay, so today, is anyone else sad? Today is the last let
Yes.
Oh,
I didn't know.
It is
oh
the
my
last one.
gosh.
It is the last one. And I have some extra goodies and some bonuses and some things that I had access to. I'm not sure, depending on how you bought the book, what you have access to. And I have some housekeeping at the end that I'm going to be sending a survey requesting your feedback. Honest to goodness, please give me how you truly feel, how it can be better, what you did enjoy, like I'm going to ask a number of things. And I would really, really appreciate your feedback because it only makes us greater, better. And let's see who else is out there. Okay. Aw. And so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in my notes here, because I was traveling last Monday, so thank God for Tamara, who was teaching on let them show you who they are, how to take your relationship to the next level, and we're leaving how every ending is a beautiful beginning. And I believe, yeah, Miss Tracy has some personal feedback and shares. And I turn off my heater, my hottie under my desk. So do you want to share? You want to start? Because I have some outlines too.
Okay. Well, I feel like I am at a crossroads with every aspect of my life. Um, Everything, finance, relationships, moving country, uh, starting a new job, everything. And my first thing that I need to, I guess, tackle is my relationship. And it's been absolutely wonderful. However, because I my visa runs out soon, and I'm really not worrying about that at the moment because my financial situation has come forth before then. And my relationship has been an ultimatum, and we're at a crossroads and very unsure of what is happening. And right at the moment, I've had to say, let him. And we're still deciding. And I've brought it up a few times, and he's not ready to discuss it further because I also announced that I will need to, well, not need, but want to see my kids for the next 3 months in Colombia before I go to Australia. And that was a huge shock for him because he thought that I was going to be here till December. So giving him more time to decide on what he was going to do. And so that's been a shock to him. And now it's up to me now to decide what I need to do. And it really, really hurts because I finally found someone that I love, and I've learned a lot from this relationship. But he might not be ready. Not might not be ready for me.
Oh man.
So it's either 100% in, otherwise I'm 100% out.
So that outline, if you guys have gotten through the chapter 20, if you have the book on 274, I'm not even sure. Like, I sent a message to Trace and asked, like, have you read this yet? Because she's actually been doing this. And the process is A, B, C, and it's apologizing in the beginning. And hold on, I was just finding my notes again. And being able to work through this whole process. And it is really, really, really intense. And I don't know if you're like the first is A, apologize and ask open-ended questions. Trace, I don't know that you've even gotten to this, but I feel like you've already been doing that.
I'm doing it, yeah, because it was no. So it's like, okay, so what are my next options? Well, not it wasn't a no. It wasn't a no. Um, but he's just not ready in my timing.
hmm Well, and if you guys don't have the book, I had the
Mm,
audio. Sorry, I didn't have this as a slide. I mean, it's so beautiful to recognize, Trace, that you've been doing this. Like
mm,
you apologize of, what you can't change and asking open-ended questions. B is backing off. You've been observing his behavior. You did celebrate some progress and enjoyed some good times, and now it's like dropping into decide if this is a deal breaker.
mm.
And one is going to be end the relationship or end the says in here bitching, to end, like either way there's an end and really being able to see that and that's hard. That is I think we've all if you today live on this call, replay, with or without video, we've all been through this. We've been through it. We're all experienced, wise women that we've been through a number of these relationships to understand that is never a simple task by any means. Yet, what I reflect on is that how beautiful it is that you've had a relationship, you allowed yourself to have a relationship and you do love and you feel loved.
Mm.
And that if this doesn't go the route that you want, how much closer you are to someone that you do because now you know that it's possible.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Well, you don't have to be. You don't have to
Yeah.
be. You're in a position time-wise where the door has not closed and locked.
No,
You know?
it's definitely, I mean, we're still spending time and, he's still talking about, the things that we're going to do and, meet my two best friends that are coming next week and then being with my girls in July. And, when he's shocked that he realized that I was going to go to Colombia for maybe 3 months because it's my girls' birthdays and music concerts and all that sort of stuff. And he's like, well, can I visit you in Colombia? And I was just like, he's not getting it. And now he's at a point where he's not ready to talk about the next steps because it's too much for him.
Mhm. Well, and I
And
think,
he doesn't have the capacity.
yeah, I think it's realizing sometimes that reality too. That's a tough word. That's a really challenging word because we can make our own reality,
Mm,
yet we can't make someone else's reality.
I know.
So the beautiful opportunity is that you are here, being loved, feeling love, and giving love. And then, each step is going to be an experience. And we're here.
I know. I know.
Extra squeezes, extra hugs.
Yeah.
For sure. So that one, that chapter 20, man, if you haven't gotten to that or re-listened to it, it's really, really a powerful place. And she does talk about being compatible and being able to
Mm,
ask yourself and those glimmers of hope. And it's really interesting because I have a few things that I'm going to be sharing in the follow-up text with the survey. Um, in the woman's retreat, there was just realized I put it away. I was like getting organized. And hold on, let me think about I was clearing my desk. Um, and it was talking about we as women can be dominant. Hello, my name's Maggie. I may or may not really feel that one. Or we can be desolate. And depending on what's happening in our lives, that there are two extremes. Do nothing, do everything. And having that happy medium and realizing and recognizing that sometimes I know for me I've overdone. So then I've taken away the opportunity for Mark to do. And what I recognize for myself and what's so beautiful about leaving the space, like I went to Nashville for my birthday. We went to Naples for right before Mother's Day for our like little mini retreat. And then I had another mini retreat. Well, it wasn't mini, it was a woman's retreat, and how that shifted my house because mama wasn't here to do all the things.
Mm.
So I think there was quite a shift, to say the least, because there's some different energy that's come from that. And so it's also good for us. I know Bree had some new, she had travel and she was able to remove herself and be able to refresh, reboot. I know Stacy had the same. That definitely made a difference for her to get away in April and how much help she had to do to get away at her job and how she had to turn to them as a leader to say, I know you got this, and not think she's going to come back to an absolute storm, and recognizing that they didn't do the same, yet they did do well, and how many more people it took to cover, which
Yeah.
makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So that one is definitely a chapter that is there anything anyone else wants to share about chapter 20? Because that one was pretty rich.
I
The
don't know, but I think I'll be reading this to Abel.
Yeah, well, it's really good in removing all environmental triggers. Give your bedroom a small makeover. Reach out to friends, siblings, cousins, and coworkers. Fill your calendar. Pick a challenge you have always wanted to do. Because if you recognize, number 6 is keep asking yourself questions. And I love this one at the end of chapter 6. Time doesn't heal all wounds. What you do with your time does. No matter how busy you get or how much you start to feel, it will make time to process everything that happened. Let it take time because it will take time. Often it takes a lot of time. But if you keep waking up every day and taking a step forward, one of these days you're going to wake up and realize you're not only feeling better, you are better. Um, and you are the love of your life. I absolutely love that. If we think about all the relationships we've ever had, the good, the bad, the ugly, in recognizing that you are the love of your own life and how absolutely beautiful it is to really be caring for yourself. I love it on page 290. It says, let me prioritize my own happiness. Let me pursue my dreams with passion. Let me set boundaries and protect my peace. Let me
Mm.
choose relationships that uplift and inspire me. Let me love myself enough to walk away when it no longer works. It isn't about waiting for the right partner, the right friend, or the right opportunity to come along. It's about recognizing that you are the source of your own happiness, your own fulfillment, and your own joy. When you truly embrace that, everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Stop chasing love and start choosing it. So
For
beautiful.
yourself.
For yourself. Yes, for yourself, in yourself, within. At the end, it says, let me era is here. And I have a number of, it's pretty cool. It talks a lot about stop letting and then being responsible. I have a couple of things. I made some notes here. Okay, so you can say it out loud or you can put it in the chat. We have a little smaller group today. So if you want to put in the chat, here, I can copy my notes here. Here we go. So, questions. What are you letting them keep so that you can walk free? And then you can talk about, if you want, this one's kind of rich. What are you letting them keep so that you can walk free? And then something you're releasing.
What was the first question,
What
Maggie?
are you letting them keep so that you can walk free? Something I've really recognized in a lot of this process and reading this now for the third time, and I'll share so it'll help you get the juices flowing. I'm walking free from, and we've been talking a lot about this, and have you ever noticed where there's like a subject and then just keeps stacking? And that has been judgment.
Mm.
I know that we all as women can think of at least one person, and maybe two, and maybe more, that like is the little like there's a woman I know and I know she means well, but man, she lays it on thick. And I just really think to myself like, huh, that's really interesting. And allowing that to be what it is, her opinion. And that's all it is. All it is an opinion. I wouldn't necessarily trade places with her. And what really is heavy on my heart is that being a woman of faith, and this is another one, is being a woman of faith to live in a lot of fear. Those are two that are complete opposites. To be fearful and faithful. You're either one or the other.
Faith and fear don't hang out together. Nope.
They do not. They do not. They are a choice. You either have faith or you have fear.
Mm. I'll let you know when I've got it figured out.
Maggie,
Is-
I took this chapter and really I did take it. I didn't direct it towards my husband. But we've had lots of areas in this book where we've grown immensely. Like, wow. But what it led me to is business, a business that I've been doing for 6 years now and it has meant the world to me. But I've found something else. And as you well know, in the business world, sometimes it's kind of like an NDA type thing, right? That you can't jump or I don't know, they throw you out. So today was a decision for me, and my husband was a great part of that. And we had the best conversation to let them and let me and drop them.
I bet that was so hard.
I still get goosebumps. It's very
It
hard,
gave me goosebumps, yeah.
but I know with my heart that I've made the right decision for so many levels, And I don't feel bad. It was tough. We went through the steps. We did all we went through it. Man, I just feel like just a big weight lifted off. which, Tracy, if I can help at all, once you make that decision, because I've lived this differently, but a huge decision in a marriage, whether it's, with paper or without. And I had to make that big decision. And I remember distinctly driving to work, and I'm like, streaming down my face, God, I know you tell me to give this to you and stop taking it from you. I'm done. I'll give it to you and I'll stop, because I know what I should do. I know what's right. And that moment I had a physical feeling of that same off of my shoulders, and I just had this peace. So that's just encouragement that it's a tough decision.
Thank you,
But
Karen.
to feel that peace though, that's the reassurance.
Well, and isn't it isn't it interesting when you let go of something, that freedom and that release and that excitement and joy towards something different? And it's not always a relationship, but like for yours is an opportunity, but they were representing as relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. I didn't think of it that way.
Well, and it's memories, it's experiences. And I think what's really interesting here, and I know this only too well, and probably how I hope to extend my ripple effect is that you made the decision based on the business, on the opportunity, on the specifics. It wasn't about necessarily the people, it's the opportunity.
Right.
It still represents relationships. It still represents people on both sides. One is the new, one is the old. But when you do I'm sure you did, and it sounds like you did with your husband, the good, the bad, and because you incorporated your husband, he is looking at it from a different style, male versus female.
Right.
Also a different style because you guys are opposites. We typically do
Oh, yeah.
marry the opposite, which I'd
Yeah.
like to talk to God about that one day. Like, how you
I just think
you
about
have a
that
nine there?
silly apple tree or whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah, right. Uh-huh. Darn it, Eve. Yeah.
Yep.
But recognizing that it's personal and then it's not personal. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it is. And then even the same for Trace. Like yours is personal, but yours is also personal that you didn't like if you could change the rules and the laws and everything, like wave your magic wand, phew, you know?
Yeah.
And yet you can't. So, there's always different options, there's always different choices. And it's in this right here that you really get to draw upon your stronger self of what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What's it going to look like? And for all of us, the greatest opportunity is I know you think I'm going to say let them. It's the let me part. What is going to bring you the most joy? What is going to bring you to the place of honor? Honoring yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the part that we all get to, and we're all being tested in one way or another. We're either, what did I say last week? Or maybe it was the week before when I was actually at my desk. We're either going into something, we're in something, or we're coming out.
Something.
Well,
Constant pivot.
I physically feel one foot in my past and half of me in my present. It feels surreal. It's unbelievable.
That's exactly what you said in the video.
Yeah, it's it's incredible. I can feel the pull, and then I get little reminders about, we talk about fear or faith. My eldest daughter went to a retreat, and I was talking to Tam about this as well. A retreat with faith. And my ex-husband doesn't have any faith at all. He doesn't have any, nothing. And so my girls grew up with no religion. Okay. And I let that happen. Right. Um, and so she went to this retreat and it was absolutely incredible for her. And she's found her circle, and I'm just so blessed that she went to something like this. And then she spoke to me and she said, Mum, I would like to be baptized. I said, oh my gosh, that is absolutely wonderful. I don't care what religion it is, but she's found something that she truly feels part of, right? And my ex said, no, no, it's not going to happen. I was fuming, but I had to be there. And I just said, darling, it's he's the one that has the fear over God or religion. He always has. And it's not yours to keep. She said, oh, but how do I handle it? And so, oh, Tam's here now. And good thing that, Tam said, does he have a fear of God or does he have a fear of religion? I think it's a bit of both. Um, and so I said to her, how would you like me to step up for you? Would you like me to talk to Dad? And she said, look, not yet. Um, I'll let you know. I said, okay, but just so you know, I am here for every part of your support. If you need to go and speak to the priest, when you go there every Tuesday, speak to him, see what he says. Speak to my friend Anna Maria, who's like a godmum to her. I said, speak to her, you know, and I am here every step of the way. But babe, you're 16. He doesn't have the control after 2 years. You're an adult and you can choose this now. And like what Tam said, maybe this might be a blessing for him that, she can be there to guide him into a faith. Who know? I don't know, but we haven't gone to that yet. And I try to bring it up again to her, and she's like, "Oh, Mum, I can't deal with it right now." Okay, all right, no problem. But just so you know, I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I could do for now.
It is. And how special that God found her heart right where she was.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I reflect on me going back to Australia, how far away I am from them, and I don't know, just things like this. I know it's a phone call, but it's like 16 hours difference, and I'm still feeling uncomfortable about going back to Australia. And, taking the girls to, the ladies' doctor, the gynecologists, and doing those appointments with them. That's my job, you know. So right at the moment, I'm at that pull and tug where it's like I might need to go back to Australia, but the thought of, oh, I'm not there yet. I feel really, really uncomfortable. Yeah.
Hey, Bree, do you have an exercise in mind?
I know all I was thinking about was what an exercise in mind. Okay, so ladies, just let me tell you, first of all, I am not good on my feet. I'm someone who will step back from this call like an hour or a day from now and be like, oh, I should have said this, or I have that, or whatever. I'm someone who steps away from things and processes them. I'm not like my husband's so quick-witted and he's quick on his feet. I am not that person.
Mm,
I'm the person who has to take a breath
mm,
and think. And so maybe I might have something for you after the fact, but what I kept thinking about through this whole conversation, which this isn't going to seem very helpful, probably, but in hindsight, whatever happens, um, maybe there will be a blessing because I just think about I actually so I think I've alluded to the fact that when I was 25, I was living so I wanted to get into the music business and I came to Nashville and I ended up overstaying. I was living and working illegally in the United States. And when I crossed back to Canada for my mom's 50th birthday, and my husband and I tried to cross back into the US, it's a really, really long story. I knew that would not go well, but long story shorter, it did not. And so I got basically excluded from the country for 5 years, and my husband got sent back to the US. And I was, of course, he had proposed to me the day before. And I was devastated. And he was devastated. And it was tough, but then while I was there, my person got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And 6 months later, she died. And had I not been excluded from the country, I would not have been there for that. I would not have been there for her children, who are like sisters to me. And so it took, going through that it took 17 months for me to be able to get back. It was like, it was life altering, really. But in hindsight, I'm like, I wouldn't have done that for myself. So God did it for me.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's very helpful to say right now because I know
It's perfect.
when you're going through stuff, it's like, ah,
Well, there's two things that it came to mind. One is that exactly, because Bree is speaking from a situation where it wasn't like it's the opposite of yours. She didn't know necessarily. I mean, she had an idea, but it wasn't like she couldn't project the future. You can't, I can't. I mean,
Mm.
Stacy might a little bit. She might have some in her for that intuition. And I don't know if Tam has something to say because she's on video.
She's just smiling.
I know.
She has something to
She's been
say.
my savior as well.
Well, what I would say is how many of us would say that our children have saved us?
Mm. Oof.
And I would say that the only reason I am a believer is because of my children. And so I guess, and what I take from what Bree was saying is God will work it out one way or another.
That's
And
exactly.
if it's meant for you to go back to Australia, there might be a reason for it that you are completely unaware of right now. If it's not meant to happen, or if you're meant to stay in the United States, he's going to come up with a way for that as well. So just trust that he has your best interest. But I don't know. I think your daughter will be the lead,
Yeah.
and trust her. And you know that, I've talked about it enough. And so, I mean, I heard the first part when you were talking about you and your guy and trying to make that decision, and the fact that he's shocked that you weren't going to be there for 3
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
I don't know if many people know the story, but my husband, he and I, when we first started dating, we had other significant others that we both by the same name, actually, different people, but they both were named Chris. And so when he and I first started dating, I was like, okay, well, if we're going to date, I'm going to date. And so I put an ad in the paper and dated somebody else. And
Wait. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Oh my
Can you
gosh.
say that one more time?
so, because back in the day, they didn't have apps. They
It's
had
not
the
even
local news.
possible that that's a thing. I just gotta say.
Yeah. And it was like, looking for somebody, blah, 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 blah. And my husband was like, I told him, I didn't even talk to him about it. I was just like, okay, well, if we're just dating, I'm going to date other people. And so I went out on several dates with another guy. And I had said to, he was like, I was like, I don't have a lot of money. Let's just have fun. And we went to a movie or we met for drinks and then we decided to go to a movie. And I was like, well, I don't have a ton of money. So we scrounged around. We were exactly 1/4 short from going to see this movie. The long and short of it was later, Rob had said, was 3 weeks from graduating from college. We spent the summer together. And I was like, if you get sick of, staying at your parents' house, you can come live with me and my roommate, Vinny. And, and he said, yeah, I'll think about it. So that was in like May or June. And in August, he said, my parents have said I have to find a place to live. I haven't found a job yet, but they want me to find a place to live. I'd like to take you up on your offer. And I was like, oh, well, hold on. I got to go back to check with Vinny. So then he says, yeah, okay. So you can be a roommate. It's less rent for us. No big deal. And then he says, wouldn't it be awkward though, if we were dating other people and living in the same place? And I was like, oh, was that the ploy this whole time? So the long and short of it was, I said, okay, so that means we're going to be exclusive. And he says, yes. So I went back to the other guy and said, I'm sorry, one of the other people that I'm dating asked to be exclusive. And then he's like, you know how I said I didn't have any money? He goes, I own my own business and I'm actually pretty well off. Well, you all know the story about the guy at the fraternity party who asked me out that I was like, money is not my thing. So anyway, long and short of it was when he had a purpose and he had a reason and he had a deadline and he had to make a decision. So when push came to shove, he had to make a decision. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen for you, Tracy. I'm just saying that when push comes to shove, a decision has to be made. And so again, it's in God's hands. Pray on it. It'll happen if it's meant to be. And if it doesn't happen.
I really, in my heart, I feel like I'm going to go to Colombia. And then 3 months will go by, and then I don't feel like I'm going to Australia yet. And my mum's like, Tracy, you ready to come to Australia? And I'm like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Because he's feeling really uncomfortable. I'm like, I have to get rid of my sofa, my TV, I have to get rid of my bed, some drawers, I'm going to keep this, and this. And I've got to get rid of all of my electronic, all of my, power stuff because Australia's got different. And he's just like, he's not
Well, and the
feeling
other
comfortable.
thing is, if he's saying, can I come see you there? You're going to be like, why? What's the point?
Yeah.
When it's done, it's done. When I leave this country.
Well, that's the thing. Now he's saying, oh, I'm a bit suspicious of why I can't come. Like, why?
What's the point? If the relationship, you don't want a long distance relationship like that.
No
so
way.
Unless there's some sort of commitment and for you to come back.
Yeah.
And you have to be at peace with that. And I was at peace with that with Rob and dating this other guy. I was just like, all right, whoever steps up first. And I was very clear that I was not going to be the first one in my relationship with Rob to say, I love you. I know I asked him out. I know I took the reins on out of it. And I said, I will not be the first one to say it. And when he finally said it, we were already living together as roommates. And then one day he was just sitting there and all of a sudden he was acting really weird. And we were watching TV. All of a sudden he downs the beer that he was drinking he comes up to me and he puts his hands around my face and he goes, "I love you," and ran into the kitchen. And I was like, what was that? And he's peeking around the corner of the kitchen because, it's just like a little galley kitchen. And he peeks around the corner and he's like, hee, 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 hee. And I was like, I was like, is that what drinking the beer was? He goes, yeah, it was my liquid courage. So all I can say is be at peace with whatever you decide.
Yeah.
And you are the first person. You are at the top of your list, right? And your kids. And I have a feeling they're going to lead the way. They always do. God uses them.
And yes, and I think that was the other thing. So calling upon Bree, and I'm so glad you didn't know that that was what I was looking for. That was exactly that experience and what you were feeling. And it was different, but it was similar because it was a line. It was a line, and you guys have lines on the country, and that's a very big line. But Tamra had a big line herself. And it's the line in which we allow to happen. And we know in all sorts of relationships, Stacy has a line right now in work.
Yeah.
And it's a really tight line. Karen worked through her line just recently because something was not working for her. It was okay. But what I'm hearing is what she's moving on to is great. Am I getting that? I mean, I'm
Yep.
seeing a completely different glow about you that Stacy sees it too. And
Yep.
that's in which that line that we cross and we say, okay, I'm in. It's just like Bree. Bree is taking steps. She ended up with this beautiful woman who wants to support her and is creative. And they have this chemistry that is going to make the most beautiful conversation. It's already made a conversation, and she's crossed over her own line of saying, I'm doing this. It's not a complete stairwell that she can see the whole way around, yet step by step, making that happen. And that's the most beautiful. We have to recognize that we are the main character. And there are many other characters, but where in which that line is. And that's what this whole book was about. Is that so many times we cross over that line, we're like, here, I'm going to take your responsibility and I'm going to take it with me. And how freaking well does that work? It doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And what that pull that you're feeling, Trace, you did it on the video.
Mm.
And the difference is, I wasn't sure if Bree had anything. All I could envision, like literally, you can do it physically, or you can actually do it in your mind, or a little bit of both, where you literally stand firm and you make a complete jump. Because there's no reason to be tied in one spot and another. That feeling I had, I'll never forget. I'm clearly not a good drugged person because when I had both my C-sections and they tied my arms down, and I was like, why do I feel like I'm on a crucifix? This is really not working for me right now. Is there another way to do this? It was terrible. I was like, why would you do that? That's a great reason to have babies naturally. It was terrible. It was terrible experience because that in which you're like,
Put your hands down.
oh yeah, they do it across the board. Well, when you do a C-section,
Why?
because they don't want you to like,
They do it for, they do it for a lot of
That feels
surgeries.
funny.
Really?
Yeah.
terrible,
I've had it
terrible. I said it in both things because it was funny. So I had Lucy or Declan in Michigan. And I actually knew a bunch of the people in the room. My sister-in-law was in there. I looked up at her and was like, can you do something about the crucifix thing right now? Because I don't like this. I feel like, and I'm not, I no, it doesn't feel right. And then when we were in Texas, I was like, they do this in Texas too? This is terrible. But they say for your medicine, there's multiple reasons. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. If that's not enough reason to have a baby natural, whew, I missed the boat.
Yeah.
So,
In
but
in
eventually,
Colombia, they don't do natural.
oh,
They don't do
Oh,
natural?
hardly ever. I went for natural. and then they dosed me up with so much drugs. Is it the epidural? I
Yeah.
couldn't even push. They're like, oh, if she doesn't come out in, another 2 hours, we're gonna have to, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't give me too much epidural because I need to feel. Oh no,
Yeah.
Whoa.
Aw.
they don't do natural unless the baby's coming out in like within 1 hour, 2 hours, but you're done. It's
Tamara is
all
a show off.
cesarean.
She got two natural deliveries at section. Show
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Well, a lot of doctors won't do it. A
Mhm.
lot of doctors require, but I had to sign off and I went to a different state. So
Mm.
I would
Wow.
have had them at home if I could have.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm going to do an interview with a doula, and I'm thinking that we need to preach it out to anyone who's pregnant to have that
absolutely.
actual mentorship because I know, and I was sharing that I had an opportunity to do a 1 hour meditation when I was in Chicago. It was the greatest gift, and what I recognized was that I didn't allow myself to naturally have the kids because I was so freaked out. No births here, but same crucifix for hysterectomy.
Mm,
there's a lot of reasons, but it's a
yeah,
terrible feeling. But essentially, my whole visual on that, and hopefully making you giggle a little bit, is the fact that we're not meant to be pulled like that. And so it's the choice that you have, Trace. You
yeah.
can do it in your mind. You can do it, you can literally do it. Like you hang up the phone and literally jump. And what I know to be true, because I've worked with you so much and we know you and love you and adore everything about you, and the fact that you chose the word trust.
I know.
So what Bree was saying was that on the other side, she had many more blessings that she didn't know would be a thing. And she couldn't do anything. Like it is like your situation too. You know what I mean? If you could change it, you would. A lot of situations we would change, you know?
I
I mean, when I said I'll let you know when I figure it out, it doesn't mean I don't keep trying to fit square pegs into round holes.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, get in there,
I
damn
yeah.
it.
It's like welcome to my world. That's what I'm trying to do.
Hmm.
Ah.
I haven't personally
But
been.
let me. I need to let me be responsible for the actions that I take next.
Well, and when you step into your faith and say, "Oh my gosh, God, what you have planned," and being in that center of excitement versus the fear. Excitement, opportunity, possibilities versus, and that's what I've been really working a lot with, is a lot of times in life we feel blank. And depending on the moment, if we're hungry, if we're tired, if it's menopause, whatever, premenopause, our period, if we had a bellyache, if, there's so many different things that play into the factor of, and if that word that you filled in was negative,
Yeah.
you start sinking. And if you say, I'm frustrated right now, because it's a real thing, not to say, oh no, you don't feel this. No, 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 no. Acknowledge it. Okay, I'm frustrated about my situation. I'd like more. Say it for me. Control. I know I'm not the only one, right? We want more control over that in which is happening or not happening. I either want to make it happen, I want to stop it from happening, I want to do something there. And when you realize that let me opportunity, then you sit for a minute and say, okay, what's possible? Ooh, wow, I could be a part of this baptism. I could be a part of, I mean, there's so many. And now you're being led by something greater than I mean, right now, you saying that I'm not sure that, that's huge because she said it. She wants it.
Yes.
So, I mean, like that right there, even just the pure conversation of it of itself.
Also, the 3 months in Colombia right now, well, you say Mia, right? Mia?
Well,
Right.
Mia has Lyme's
Yeah,
disease.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mia has Lyme, and maybe there's some kind of like extra support that she needs right now.
Mm. Wow. Thank you, Brie. Yeah.
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 How far away is Avril from your family?
Uh, it's about 3 hours away.
I'm
Mm.
I'll come visit you in Colombia.
Oh,
kind of
and it's
thinking,
and it's cheaper, Brie.
well, I'm kind of thinking that, we might have to talk about this because I hear it's beautiful.
Mm.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not. It's nice. Cartagena is amazing. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Cartagena is amazing, and
Oh,
that's only 2 hours away. It's a old history um place that everyone goes to. Yeah, it's
is
just
that the
beautiful.
pictures that Avril sent? Like of the
She's in Santa
skeletons?
Marta.
No, she went to a place that had all the skeletons, like in the mountains. She sent a ton of pictures of the most obscure things.
That
It
might
was
have been Medellin. Medellin's beautiful too.
not sure. It was beautiful.
And
Like,
yeah,
so I think you had somebody who said that she would come visit too. So yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes.
So lots of options, lots of opportunity. And so for anyone who's watching this on the replay, recognizing that if you're in some yuck, if you've just come out of yuck, you're not alone. We're
Mm.
all in this. And what we must recognize is that there's an opportunity to recognize, take a moment of inventory and responsibility of we always have choices. There's always an option. There's always someone. I mean, my gosh, what are the odds that you could be sitting here in Miami, Florida, from Australia, come from Colombia, and you have someone in this group who has overcome Lyme's disease?
Oh no, it's unbelievable. Like I can't even fathom it, to be honest with you. And I don't know, honestly, I wouldn't know where I would be if I didn't have the support of all of you women. I have no idea
Mm.
because we all need support. Seriously, I have no idea. None at all.
Same here.
And I find my tribe. I find my tribe. And I
And
found it here.
And it was because you opted in. You opted in to something unknown and recognizing that, there's different times and spaces. And like Bree was saying, how she's gonna think of all these things later. We all have those different places in our lives where we're like, oh, I'm quick here, and that area is a little weak. I'll come up with something. Yet that whole we have, like the whole of our opportunities and the gifts and that that fill in those gaps. I believe that it's that blessing that makes everything so much greater and realizing that we're together. And I'm really intrigued by this. I think some of you know that my mom is here. She has Alzheimer's. I thought she was coming down, but she might have forgotten because it's kind of a thing. I thought Mark was going to bring her down. Um, it was interesting to have her come Monday night, and you guys know because of the let them and we're driving, and it was a rough first couple of days. She keeps calling Mark my brother-in-law's name. She has not called him Mark yet, and it's an awareness and it's a learning. But I will say, and now we're on day, what is this, a week later? So this will be our seventh night. That she seems better.
Oh,
I mean, does she still forget? Yeah. She seems better. She seems more clear. And I'm like, we haven't eaten at McDonald's because I don't do that. We've eaten home meals. I've been flushing her with water because I know that that helps. I have been walking with her at night with the dogs. I've been doing the things that I say are important and that I do for me that I know are important. Rest, nutrition, hydration, finding joy, figuring out what that looks like. And there's a difference. And so those are factors, but you know what also is different? There's a lot of people in my house. There's two little dogs that she sometimes doesn't like and then sometimes loves them because
Mhm.
they get really excited. And then there's the kids, and then there's Mark, and then there's me. And I feel like it's because she's not alone. So we get to do our life how we want to do our lives. And the difference is that when we include others, we have multiple blessings. We're blessed here tonight to hear about Karen in a different situation because she chose in to cross a line and not stay in the familiar just because others want her in that place. She's chosen to let me make a responsibility choice, take responsibility and make a new choice. And there's excitement. There's joy. And the same thing for Trace is that that's not completely set yet. There's opportunities and choices and many new avenues. And the same thing for Bree. It's, these taking what she's gained and all the blessings that she's had and moved on. And one of the favorite things that Stacy said this week, what was it? Can you say it again? Talking about your mind, your body. It's one of my favorites.
So I've spent the first 23 years of my career, of work career, using my mind. Towards the end of that, I was using my body because I was doing catering on the side. And now I'm using my body even more. Now it's time for me to use my soul. The mind work I've done, the body work. Now I want to work with my soul. I want to use my soul as
Beautiful.
my what's the word I'm looking for?
Guide.
Thank you.
I think Tamara has something to say. In the light.
No.
No,
She's saying
no,
no.
you're just on video. Okay, I wasn't sure.
No,
Well,
I'm the same way. I think that's beautifully spoken when she
Yes.
says we've used our mind and our body and then our soul. Because I think I'm right there. And I want to inspire, I want to mentor people to connect with
Yeah.
connect with their soul, their spirit, and connect with God. And that's my motivation. I mean, money's great, but stability
Yes.
is great, but
Unfortunately, we need money, right, to make it
Mm.
through to a certain degree, but um it's an energy exchange.
mhm.
Um,
I love, and you guys might know who said this. I know somebody will know exactly who this is. Um,
Thich Nhat Hanh. Just kidding. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
um, the more money you make, the more choices that you have. And when you can live like no one else, you can give like no one else. I know, you know. Yep. It's one of my favorites. When you can live like no one else, you can give like no one else. And that's the truth in the heart. Um, so I have with our lovely, oh, it's 8 o'clock. So closing with a blessing declaration. Hands on your heart or your palms up, whatever you feel. And I'll put this in here so that you have it. One moment, please. Okay, we're going to say it twice over. I'll say it once and then you can repeat it or you can say it to yourself or, I'll say it to you twice. I am letting go of what no longer belongs to me. I trust the divine to hold what I release. I receive peace, purpose, and permission to rise. I am a woman who lets go and lets God. I am letting go of what no longer belongs to me. I trust the divine to hold what I release. I receive peace, purpose, and the permission to rise. I am a woman who lets go and lets God. And last but not least, I receive it.
Put
That
that
is
in the,
that. What?
will you put that in the chat?
Yes, yes. Yep.
Wow. I'm screenshotting that one. Oof.
There you are, ladies.
I'm going to do that as a voice with
Ooh.
some music in the background.
And will you share it with us, please, about our worthy collective, Let Them?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll finish up the workbook, Tammy, in the behind the scenes. We're taking each week where we had the journal prompts and the habit stacking. We're going to put it all into one PDF. So if you want to print that and 3-hole punch it, you can. Or if you want to catch up on anything that you might have missed. And so here is a final touch. Take one sacred action this week that reflects the woman you're becoming, not the one you're trying to explain. Then come back and tell us what happened. And we have a Let Them in our app that you can go in and share. Well, I don't have it open at this very moment, but it's a little tab that says Let Them. I'll be sharing a survey again. I would love your honest feedback. Please, please, please. Even if, don't worry if it, if it may hurt a little because I only can make things greater and better with your honest feedback and any edits. I know like Bree and I were talking about some of the automation and I might have sent a little too much automation. So, like let me know those things because I can't fix something if I don't know how
Mm.
to receive it. And um, it's like that had a little more automation, and then my interview process had, or no, my confidence kickstart didn't have any. So I'm really working on a blend because automation is amazing, but I don't want it to be annoying,
Gonna get wet here.
you know? And all that in the growth. And so what we'll be sharing here next, I want to let you guys all know that we're going to do a 4-week self-care. It's all included with your Worthy Collective. And that will be July 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. Those will be Tuesday nights. The details will come. And
Okay.
that will be a Tuesday evening, kind of giving you guys a different evening, and that will be taught by none other than the Self Queen Goddess of Lori Love Jones. And then after, starting in August, I'm going to be sending out information and getting your feedback on the next mastermind. I've had someone request The Purpose Driven Life by, I think that's by Rick Warren. So I'm going to be putting out some of the things that we could do a book study on. If you have a favorite book or even a series that you want to, have us jump into, let us know because we definitely would love your feedback. Okay.
What were those dates, Maggie, again?
It's Tuesday, July 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've got to double check the timing. I think it might be 7 Eastern, 6 Central, but I'll double check. A flyer will be coming out the next couple of days. So yeah, when I send that over, I'm going to ask for your feedback on the next mastermind. I would love your thoughts, and of course, there's going to be a space. Please, please, please. We can only make this greater and better with your honest to goodness feedback. And it makes us all greater and better. And there's spaces and places. When we went to that women's retreat, they did a silent auction, and I had to be really, really nice Because it's terrible. Don't ever do a silent auction. It's
You
horrible.
did so well in not saying anything.
I was like, no, I did. I did. I said it when I asked about the event because I'm thinking about hosting my own event and bringing it to Michigan, and I'm contemplating on how this will lay out. But I told her, I was like, so how much money did you guys make? And, and she kind of looked at me. I was like, I don't care how much money you make. I want to make a point. You didn't make nearly enough money. And because no woman wants to sign her name, like there's only a few personalities that would stand by a piece of paper to win out a basket by $1.
Oh, what?
Because that's a silent auction. Silent auction is you write your name and it's usually like $1 more or whatever than the last person. So you
Right.
only get the last amount of money on the piece of paper. And even dudes don't do that well. It's awkward as heck. It's really weird. And so normally you do tickets, and there's ways to do this in such a fun way. And so a fun way that they could have brought the baskets up and said, Tracy, she made this basket, and this is what's in there, and it's so much fun. And then you're like
Oh, yeah. Happy.
drum roll, who's going to be the winner? And
Everybody buys playing cards or something, and then they draw or whatever. They draw playing
Right.
tickets.
cards
Yeah,
or
yeah. Way more fun and way more money for whatever they needed to do. So I said it nicely. I just had to say it later because there wasn't anything they could do about it. And then later she was like, oh, wow, that would have been better. I was like, now you know. Now you know. You know what I mean? Like, now you know. I wasn't going to say anything because at the very moment they didn't have tickets. They didn't have anything, any way to fix it.
you
So,
weren't trumping people's bids and going, ha!
but yeah, no, well, there was some interesting baskets there too.
That.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can have some fun, but
Mm.
that wasn't my space. No, I like the ticket thing. It's way more fun. It's way more fun. Way more fun. So we all have suggestions and opportunities and spaces and places that we draw those experiences and then we pass it on and pay it forward. So I ask for you to pay it forward and give me all the goods, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's the only way we get better. So thank you, thank you. And with that, do you have a second for prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this space. Thank you for this incredible Let Them Mastermind by the brilliant Mel Robbins and her beautiful daughter. And knowing the extent of the challenges it took them writing this book for over a year, and knowing that she was a experienced author and she took the time to interview such brilliant humans to support the theory in realizing that you have left it up to us. You've left it up to us as to who we let in, who we allow, and more importantly, the responsibility that we all choose into, and that responsibility to recognize that we are greater together. We are greater with our own individual gifts, and those gifts will absolutely multiply and they will bless others when we choose to step into that light. And we can cheer each other on and celebrate those accomplishments because we've given ourselves permission to succeed. Thank you for this journey for each and every woman who have chosen in, whether they have been here live, with video, without video, on the replay, or cheering us on as we have gone through this journey, or the ones who are coming after us and enjoying this beautiful mastermind. Thank you for the gifts that you have all given us and this space, and those who have created such an amazing space that we can be here together in our own homes, in our own spaces, in our own places, and yet all together. Will you bless our works, our words, and our worthiness as we step into what's next? In your name we pray. Amen.
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 Thanks, ladies.
Maggie,
Amen.
I've got a suggestion.
Yes.
You need to send some clips to Mel Robbins herself, especially this one
You're right. That would be
and the
really
prayer. So some clips of the sessions plus your prayer just then. That's what came through for me just then.
I just got a little sick in my stomach, and you know what? The answer is yes. I will do that because it was not by accident.
Definitely.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Bye,
Love you.
ladies.
I love you.
you all.
Love you.
Hi, guys.
You.